Walk into any hardware store in California today and try to buy a new gas lawnmower. You will not find one. The shelf where it used to sit is empty, or it has been replaced by a battery-powered machine that costs 2 or 3 times as much and dies halfway through your yard. This is not a supply chain problem. This is not inflation. This is a law. A law passed by regulators who decided that the sound of a Saturday morning in America is now a public health emergency. And here is what they are not telling you. The same agency that banned your lawnmower is already coming for your generator. And when California's wildfires knocked out power to hundreds of thousands of homes in January 2025, that agency had to suspend its own rules in an emergency because the shelves were empty and people had nowhere to turn. This is the story of how one state outlawed the weekend and why your state may be next. The law is called Assembly Bill 1346. Governor Gavin Newsom signed it on October 9, 2021. It directed the California Air Resources Board, a body of unelected regulators known as CARB, to mandate zero-emission standards for all new small engines rated at 25 horsepower or below: lawnmowers, leaf blowers, string trimmers, hedge trimmers, chainsaws, log splitters, pressure washers, and eventually generators. As of model year 2026, if a piece of outdoor power equipment runs on a gas engine in that power range, it cannot be sold new anywhere in the state. The bill's author, Assemblyman Mark Berman of Menlo Park, called it a matter of public health. CARB's own headline statistic claimed that running a commercial leaf blower for 1 hour produces as much smog-forming pollution as driving a new Toyota Camry 1,100 miles, Los Angeles to Denver. 1 hour of yard work. That is the number they used to sell this law. That is the number that ended up in every newspaper, every press release, and every town hall. And before we go any further, you need to understand something about that statistic, because the gap between what they claimed and what they actually did to real people is exactly where this story gets dark. California has approximately 16.7 million small off-road engines. That is roughly 3 million more than all the registered passenger cars in the state. CARB's position is that these engines produce more smog-forming pollution than every light-duty car on the road combined, and the basic science behind that claim is real. Two-stroke engines and leaf blowers release roughly 30% of their unburned fuel mixture directly into the atmosphere. Small gasoline engines lack the catalytic converters that transform car exhaust over the last 40 years. Americans spill an estimated 17 million gallons of gasoline annually just refueling lawn equipment, more than the entire Exxon Valdez oil spill every single year. The pollution problem is genuine. The data is real. Small engines are genuinely dirty. But here's the part they left out of every press conference. The landscaping industry in California employs 106,000 workers. 88% of them are Latino. Average income under $40,000 a year. Mostly people who built their entire livelihood with a truck, a mower, and a blower paid for in cash over years of work. There are approximately 52,000 landscaping businesses in the state. 51,000 of them are one-person operations. These are not corporations. These are people. And CARB calculated the total cost to transition the professional landscaping industry to electric equipment at $1.29 billion. The legislature allocated $30 million in rebates to help cover that cost. If you do the math, that comes to roughly $15 per tool that needs replacing. A commercial gas riding mower costs between $7,000 and $11,000. Its electric equivalent costs $15,000 to $40,000. That is before you buy the batteries. Professional batteries for commercial blowers run from $200 to $1,500 each. A 3-person crew needs 30 to 40 fully charged batteries every single day to match the runtime of gas equipment. They run out mid-job. They lose capacity in extreme heat. In a state that regularly hits 110 degrees in summer, a battery that works at 8 in the morning can be dead weight by noon. Brian, a California landscaper profiled by Cal Matters, ran the numbers himself. The ban would force him to cut his daily client load from as many as 15 houses down to 5 or 7. He would lose $1,000 every week. He would need to raise his prices by 30% just to survive. And he told the reporter he feared that would push clients to mow their own yards. Elizabeth Burns, owner of Zone 24 Landscaping, walked into a CARB hearing and testified directly to the board. The cost to transition would be significant and would probably kill her small business. CARB heard that testimony. They approved the regulation anyway. But the lawnmower ban is only Act 1 of this story, because the regulation that ended the gas mower has already set a clock ticking on something far more critical than yard care. The generator phase targets portable gas generators, beginning model year 2028. If you live in a California wildfire zone and the maps keep expanding every year, your gas generator is the machine standing between your family and a multi-day blackout during a public safety power shutoff. Between 2019 and 2022, California utilities conducted 78 of those shutoffs. The average outage lasted nearly 2 days. Some ran for 6. 176,000 Californians depend on electricity to run medical devices at home: ventilators, oxygen concentrators, refrigerated medication. During the 2019 shutoffs, a man dependent on supplemental oxygen died 12 minutes after power was cut to his area. 12 minutes. In September 2022, just 2 weeks after CARB voted to phase out gas car sales by 2035, the state nearly went into rolling blackouts. The power grid was one hot afternoon away from failure, and these were the people simultaneously moving to ban the backup machine millions of homeowners rely on when the grid does fail. And then January 2025 happened. The Palisades and Eaton fires tore through Los Angeles. At least 27 people were killed. More than 12,400 structures burned. 200,000 people were evacuated. Power was cut across hundreds of thousands of homes. Californians rushed to every hardware store they could find, trying to buy generators. There were none. California had already restricted most of them from being sold. CARB was forced to issue an emergency advisory suspending its own generator restrictions and allowing EPA-certified units that did not meet California-specific standards to be sold through June 30th, 2025. The agency's own emergency notice acknowledged that customers who had lost power may want to use a portable generator to power critical equipment, such as medical devices. One resident of La Canada Flintridge could not buy a Honda generator anywhere in the state. He shipped one to a friend in Arizona and had it driven back across state lines. Think about what that means. The regulation that created the shortage is still on the books. The emergency waiver is temporary. The generator ban timeline has not moved. When the next fire season arrives, the state will be right back in the same position, and the agency will issue another emergency suspension of rules it never stopped defending. Now here is what happens when a state this large moves and the rest of the country is watching. More than 200 cities and municipalities across 27 states have enacted restrictions on gas-powered lawn equipment. Washington, D.C. imposed a complete ban on gas leaf blowers in 2022. Montgomery County, Maryland banned sales in 2024 and use entirely in 2025. Seattle is phasing in a residential ban by 2027. These are not California cities. These are places copying the California model because the legal infrastructure to do it already exists. 17 states already adopt California vehicle emission standards under federal law. The EPA authorized California's zero-emission small engine rules in December 2024. That means any of those 17 states can adopt an identical lawn equipment ban right now overnight with no new federal approval required. The equipment industry is not waiting to see how this resolves. Makita ceased all gas engine production worldwide on March 31st, 2022. Honda exited the lawnmower market entirely in September 2023. Home Depot projects that 85% of lawn equipment sales will be battery-powered nationally by 2028. The manufacturers have already picked a side. They are building the future California ordered and shipping it to every store in America, whether your state asked for it or not. Here is the verdict. The landscapers are not adapting. They are disappearing. Smaller operators who cannot absorb the transition cost are simply leaving the industry. The ones who stay are raising prices, cutting clients, and racking up debt to replace equipment that still had years of working life. Meanwhile, CARB has fined Husqvarna over $1 million for selling uncertified engines in the state and settled with Honda for nearly $8 million in cumulative penalties for small engine violations. Those fines tell you something important. The enforcement is real, the compliance office is staffed, and the agency is not blinking. This is not a regulation that will quietly fade away once the next election cycle comes around. When you walk into a California hardware store today, the gas lawn mower is gone. Not because it stopped working, not because something better replaced it on merit, because a board of regulators decided you should not be allowed to buy one. The same machine is still legal to use, still legal to repair, still legal to resell if you already own it. But the day it breaks down for the last time, your only replacement option is electric, whatever the price, whatever the battery life, whatever the state of the grid. There is one final detail that closes this story. That landmark statistic, 1 hour of leaf blowing equals 1,100 miles of driving. The EPA, the federal agency that must authorize California's standards, has since distanced itself from that type of comparison. A spokesperson told researchers the agency now prefers not to compare emissions across sources because such comparisons are misleading out of context. The science on small engine pollution is real, but the specific framing that sold this law to the public is the kind of framing regulators use when they have already decided what they want to do, and they need a number impressive enough to stop questions before they start. The pattern is consistent. Find a real problem, apply the most aggressive possible solution, fund the transition at a fraction of what it actually costs, and when the policy collides with reality, when the fires come, the shelves are bare, and the agency has to suspend its own rules, declare an emergency, manage the news cycle, and leave the underlying law untouched. You have two choices. You can watch this move state by state, city by city, 200 bans and counting, or you can pay attention before the empty shelf appears in your town. Find out whether your state has a preemption law blocking these bans. Find out what is sitting in your state legislature's committee right now. The California model does not stay in California. The equipment industry has already bet its entire future that it won't. The Saturday morning lawnmower is not just a machine, it is a line. And the people drawing new lines are already drawing the next one. Here is the question that does not get asked enough. If the science on small engine pollution is genuine, and it is, and if cleaner air genuinely saves lives, and it does, then why was the financial plan to get there a $30 million voucher program against a $1.29 billion transition cost? Why did the generator ban move forward in a state that could not keep its grid reliable during peak summer heat, let alone wildfire season? The answer is that the people who wrote this regulation were not thinking about the landscaper who built his business over 20 years or the rural family whose generator is their only lifeline when the power goes out for 4 days. They were thinking about the policy. And the policy is spreading. If this investigation changed how you see what is quietly moving through your state legislature right now, hit subscribe. We follow these regulations before they become headlines. There is more coming, and you will not want to miss it.